Hello everyone and thank you for watching PCG tutorial. My name is Prashant. I am the professor for gaming and virtual production at Pearl and I'll be instructor for this course. So let's begin. So what is procedural content generation? What is PCG? So PCG stands for procedural content generation, which automates the creation of the game content using rules and logics in under the uh, Unreal Engine 5.5. Okay, so let's start. How can we use it inside the Unreal Engine? So let's begin enabling the plugin. Okay, so here right now I'm just go to the edit plugins, search for PCG. You will be getting the option called Procedural Content Generation Framework, Procedural Content Generation Framework, Geometry, Script Interpol. So here, these are the new things which is available inside the 5.5. So let's close this. Once you enable this, make sure you restart the content, restart the project. I'll close this. And once you restart, so you'll be able to get right-click PCG and the PCG graph. So let's go to the folder which I have created, PCG. So I'll begin inside the PCG. So right click and go for the PCG and start with the PCG graph. So here we have PCG graph instance, PCG graph and advanced PCG builder settings. So you can even go here, search for the procedural. You'll be getting a option called PCG volume, which where you can even use this, drag it to the landscape and you can start creating it, or you can directly right click here, go to the PCG and the PCG graph, you can click it. So here I'll give the name, call it as custom underscore PCG. So once you open the custom PCG, so let's see what all the things over here, what is the interface tells about. So here I have just enabled the plugins which is supported for the procedural, and here I'll be explaining you how to about the interfaces. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, so here you can see this part is called as a node palette and this is called as a debug drop down. This is viewport and right side you will find the panel which is called as a detail panel, and the bottom is the attributes list. So if you open here you can find that details panel. Okay, so here attributes are there and you can even you can see the node palette. If you want to add any node palette, you can search over here or you can right click just like a textures and you can add it. So let's begin with adding a simple sampler. So I'll go here. So I'll search for the surface sampler. Add it. Now I have created here a landscape which you can see it over here. And I haven't sculpted anything on this. So it is just a flat surfaces. So if I want to take this landscape data to my PCG, so what I need to do is I need to right click here, search for get landscape data. So what this will do, it will collect the data, landscape data in the viewport, and from that it will be applying the surfaces. Now if you click this, you can see several things are there here. Okay, so I'm not going to explain everything here. So we'll be directly, we don't need to connect to the each and everything. So here directly I'll connect to the surfaces. So selecting this, if I want to debug this, so either you can enable it here or you can press D. So before that, what I'll do, let me save this and I will drag this to the viewport here. So once I drag here to the viewport, and you have the option here, generate. So once you drag it to the viewport, you can see here the custom PCG is been inserted over here. And along with that, you will find the PCG word actor 0. Now, if you click generate here, it will not going to generate anything. Okay. Why? Let's see. So selecting this is not debugging. Okay. So let's debug this. Either you can enable this or right click on this and you can enable debug, or you can even use the shortcut D. So let's debug this by clicking this and I'll enable this. Once you debug, you will find the points. Okay, so this is called as a points, as well as you can even we can call it as a boxes also. Okay, now let's see here the properties of the surface sampler. So here we have something called points per square meter. So right now it is using 0.1 per points per square meter. So let's make this 0.02. I'll make it, and you can see it's reducing actually. So because here the points extend, the scaling is 100 is there. So let's make this 50 by 50 and 50. Okay, now I'll make this more by changing this 0.5, and you can see more number of points are generated here. So this is which increases the points. So whereas when I change from 0.5 to 0.8, okay, it increases more again. But right now it's not going to change anything because the size of the extents are bigger. So that's why it is taking like this. So if this is given back to the 100, so you will even find the smaller amount because the size is less and size is bigger. So that's why you can see the content also lesser one. So if this is 0.2 and if this is 50, and you can see more number of points. Okay, so let's change this back to the 100. Let it be. We have something called here seed. So what is seed? Seed randomly arranges the points in the volume. So let's change this 7. Instead of 7, if I make it 9, so you can see it is randomly changing. Now here, if you see what exactly is happening, let me explain. So these are the points which is located in the 3D space. So the points is the density, which is signifies 0 is the black. You can see the black color, which signifies the 0 value, and the white 1 is the value. Okay. Now when I apply this over here, see, you can even drag the volume and you can change, you can apply it here. Let me go here and you can select the PCG component. Okay. Okay. So coming to here, so to debug, so we are using the shortcut D, and to enable or disable, so we will be using the shortcut E, and to inspect, the shortcut is A. So when I select this, if I want to debug, so I'll use the D. If I want to enable or disable, I can use E shortcut, or To inspect, you can use the A. So when I press A, you can see the yellow color dot which comes, which is telling us which is been inspecting. Okay. Now I want to make this changes, like I want to make the rotations of the points to 9 to the 40 degree or the 30 degree, or I want to scale it. Okay. So how can I do that one? Let's see that. So to do that, so we will be using a one more node which is called as a right click transform points. So what does the transform points will do? The transform points will transfer the points according to the settings what we do it here. Let's see how to do that. Right now the scale what you see here, the scale minimum scale is 1 and the max is 1. So if I change the scale minimum to 0.5 and the max to the this one, so you can, if I see here, it's not getting change anything because we are still debugging this one. So I'll press D, selecting this, I'll press D and I'll select this and I'll press D. Now when I debug the transform, you can see the minimum scale which is starting from the 0.5 and the max scale is 1.0. If this is 0.1 and you can see the smaller sizes. So this will be helpful to generate a grass. So let's change this back to the 0.5. So I'm going to change this back to the 0.5 here. If I want to create a small rocks inside my level, so if which has to be like rotations and all. So here again, you can change what rotations you want to make the changes. So I've given the 40 degree or the 90 degree where you can change the rotations of the points. So here again you will find the something called, so I'll reset this. So again you're going to find something called offset. So minimum offset and max offset. So if the max offset is 20, so you can see X direction which is moving, and if this is 50 and you can see Y direction which is moving. So let this be 0, and if this value is more, you can see it goes, let me keep this to 500 value or 5000 value. So you can see it goes little upper. So the offset is getting changed, and you can even enable whether you want absolute word or the offset word. So you can switch it off now. So here you have the option called uniform scale. If you don't want uniform scale, you can switch off the uniform scale. If you want to change this, for example, if I'm changing this, if you enable uniform scale, you can see both the side it is getting changed uniform. Okay. So again here also we have a seed over here where you can even randomly you can place it seeds, and you can change it. So let me save this. So that is the hotkeys. Okay. Now once you come here, once you make the changes with the surfaces, so let's see how can we add the trees, okay, or any foliages. To add the foliages, so what I'll do is right click, I'll search for static mesh spanner. So I'll add this static mesh spanner and we'll connect to this one. Selecting this, here in the details panel, we have option called here mesh entries. So mesh entries, what it will do, it will, you can add over here the array and click over here, and you can add the foliages which you require. Now here what I'm doing here, so I have downloaded this stylized environment MidDAO, which I have added to my project. So if you go inside this, I have meshes here, foliages. So I'm going to take the trees. So let me take some trees. Selecting that, either you can drag and drop or you can select here also. So when I apply it here, and you can see the trees are generated. If this is, I'm going to change this to 50 by 50, and you can see more number of trees are there. Let me take the other tree. So I'll add this. And you can see it's coming like this. So here we have a problem that one tree is overlapping on another one. Okay. So what we have to do it here now, we have to separate this one. Okay. So how to separate this one? So if you want to separate this, so let's go back to here and let's add, right click, bounds modifier. Okay. So what bounds, it will keep the preview of the points, and for this I'll be adding self pruning. So let's disconnect this. Selecting this, I'll keep it here. Okay, let me save it and check it here. So still it is coming like that. So radius I'm going to change, and the more number is here, so I'll make it make this 100. It's too big. So let me add. So if I want to filter this, let me add density filter. Just disconnect this, and now you can see its density is being rearranged, and now it is not overlapping on another one. So you can select this self pruning, and if I change 0.25, and you can see, so it's giving more spaces, where it is not merging with the other one. So let me take another static mesh. So I'll take the simple one. Okay. See here. Let me save this. Okay. Now here, what we are doing is we have just added the static mesh, and also we made the changes that which shouldn't be overlapping. So I'll make this more value with this 50. Okay. Let's see, is it overlapping? So this is getting debugged. So I'll press D to remove the points and check it. So now it is working fine. So if I press selecting this and press D, so when you debug the static this one, so you can't see the points. So I'll press D again, pressing the density filter, and you can see the density which is rearranging that which shouldn't be merging with another one or colliding with the another one. Okay. Now let's add some more objects inside this. So right click, I'll go for the surface sampler, add content. So I'll add the transform points along with the density filter. Okay, so density filter, what exactly the density filter is doing is that it is, you can see the lower bound. If I select this and disable this, and you can see the density filter 0.5. So it is not taking the 0 value, the black is absent. It is starting from the 0.5 and the upper bound is 1.0. If you invert this, you can see that the black, the 1 becomes the 0 and this is 0.5. So here you can see the value. So if I again disable this option, and you will be able to see the lower bound 0.5 which is in the gray and the upper bound which is in the white. So the density filter used to filter the content which is not required. So I'll add the bounds. Let me add directly static mesh spanner. So I'll enable this, and for this I'm going to add mesh rocks. I have some rocks over here. So we'll add here, selecting the static mesh entries plus this one. Let's go back to here, descriptor, and add the rock. So let's save this. Now if you see here, it is, the rocks are coming. I'm going to increase the count So the density, what I'll do is I'm going to change the density to 0.2. So I require more number. I'll switch off the debug, and you can see. Now here what is happening here is it is also overlapping on one another. Okay, so let's change the value. So transform, I'm going to change the max to the 2 and min to the 0.5. So let's see, is it overlapping? Yeah, some of the rocks are getting overlapped. So to avoid that, I'll add bounds modifier. Along with that, so I'll be adding self-loading. So disable this. Save it. And let's see, is it overlapping now? No, it's not overlapping. But you can observe here, there is an overlap between the rocks and the trees. Okay, so let's see how can we make changes that tree and the rocks shouldn't be colliding, overlapping. So if you see here, the tree is going inside the rock. So for this, so let me select this, bring it down. So we'll not be connecting this node, so I'll keep it up. Selecting this, I'll keep it here. Okay. Now I'll be adding the node which is called as a difference. So what this difference will do, A minus B. So A will be the tree which goes to the output here. Disable this. And the B will be the rock. So when I connect here, let's see here. So what is happening? Let's see here. So before connecting, so the rock and the tree are overlapping. So once I connect this over here, okay, so nothing changes, you can see, because here in the density function it is enabled by minimum. So I'm going to change this minimum to the binary, and now you will be able to see the rocks and the trees are not overlapping on one another. You can see here everything is separated, including the trees and the rock. Same way, so I'm going to select this. I'll press C, call it as trees. So keep it little up. So I'll add one more surface sampler. Along with transform points. I'll add the density, filter, Okay, and the static mesh panel. So for this, I'll add the another rock, mesh entries plus, I'll add it. So let's save this, check, is it overlapping? Okay, let's change the size going here. Start with the 0.5 and 0.8 I'll make it. So let's save this. And you can see, and again you can see there is an overlap here also. So what I have to do, what we have to do here is, so add the bounds modifier. Disable this, and you can connect two connections into this node. Once you save this, now it is not overlapping. Now here, one more thing, this landscape is flat. Suppose if we find the landscape is little up like this. So what is happening here is, so I'll reduce the size and I'll draw like this. So the trees is going slow, which is going in the diagonal. So if we don't want this should happen like this, so we'll be adding, so I'll go back to here, selection. So the trees which is going on the side, if we don't want like this, so we will be adding the node which is called as a normal to density. If I don't want the trees which is on the slope, so I'll add, so normal to density. I'll add this here. Save it. Okay. Okay. So here, instead of, if you are not getting normal to density, so right click, you will find execute blueprint. In this, go here, search for normal to density. So connect this to this one. So I'll remove this. So once you save this, let's see. Okay. So here, normal to density, you'll find the offsets. Okay. So let's see what are the offsets we can change it here. So I'll make the strength to 1.0 is it, so that's why we'll be able to see this. I'm going to change this strength to 0.1. Now you can see the trees which were coming in the slope that are not coming now. Now if you select this PCG and when you move this over here, and you can see it automatically removes the trees which are coming on the slope. But you can see the rocks are still coming. Okay. You can see the rocks which is coming on the slope. To remove this again, for the rocks also, So let me select this, take it here. So right click, execute blueprint. So I'll go here, search for normal to density. For this also, normal to density. So I'll connect here, disable this connections, save it, selecting this two. The value I'll change it to 0.1. Now if you save it, and you can see the rocks and the trees are coming only on the flat surfaces, but not on the slopey. If the value of this normal density is 0.5, then you can find little trees which is slopey. If 0.2, some of them which is slight slope is there, so for that you are getting, but not on the complete slope. So you can change this value according to your requirement. So let's say if you're having a grass, and if you want to generate that grass, so let's see, we have some grass over here. So I'll add the grass over here. Let's move this down. So I'll add the surface sampler. So I'll add the execute blueprint. Normal to density. So I'll add the transform. Points. And let's add the density. Filter. And I'll add the static mesh spanner. So I'll add the mesh entries over here. And you can find it here. The trees or the plants, whether it has to be mobility has to be static or stationary or movable. So if you want the trees to be movable, you can change it over here as a movable. So over here, so let me select the grass and I'll upload here, save it and check it. Okay, let me connect this here, save and save. So you can see the grass which is coming. I'm going to change the values, transform points, scale, start from 0.5, and the surface, I'm going to change this to 50, and this I'll change to 0.5. More number of grass is required. So we'll give this 0.8, 20 by 20. Let's see this. We have something called here unbound. The grasses are coming only within the volume. Suppose if the grasses has to be generated even the outside the volume, you need to enable the unbound. When you enable unbound, you will be able to see the grasses which is not inside the volume also. Now I'm going to add over here this house. When I move this house over here, so the rocks and the trees are overlapping on that. So how can I differentiate this rocks? How can I move this rocks when the mesh is over there? Let's see. So I'll just take this little here. Okay, so this is grass. So keep it here. So let's bring this down. These are rocks. So I'll keep it here. Now, what I'm going to do here is, if I want to remove the rocks on the trees which is overlapping on this, so I'll be adding get actor data. So what this will do, so it is selecting self is there, so I'll change this to all word actors, and let's select the tag. So when I come here, selecting this house which is in the static mesh, search for the tag. So right now we haven't added any tags over here. So let's add a tag here. I call this as PCG underscore house. So let me copy this. So I'll go here, selecting this by tag actor selection by tag, none place, paste the name. Now how to separate this one? So here we were separating the rocks which was overlapping on the trees by using the difference. For the same difference, we can connect this one over here. Now let me take this one down. Okay, so I need to, if the rock is going inside, I need to add the difference for the rock also. So let me save this. So I'll go here. Let's move this little side. This one also side. I'll add the difference. Connect this to A. The value goes to the self here. Disable this. This also connect one more difference over here. Connect this here. Connect this here. Disable this connection. And right now, the same connection which was taking the data of an actor house, I'll connect to the B to separate the values. Now let's see. If I move this object front, now you can see it is overlapping. Once I leave my cursor, it is changing. The objects are moving. So it is allowing the space for an object. So easily you can place the static object which won't be overlapping on the PCG, on the foliages. Okay, so let's go to the spline. So let's begin with the spline. I'm going to save this. So I'll go back to my folder. PCG, and I'm gonna connect. Right click. Let's go to the PCG graph. I call this as spline underscore PCG. So drag this here. Selecting this spline. Okay. So I'm gonna add the spline inside the details. Now if you see here, you'll be getting a spline. Okay. If you move this, you can see the spline points are also getting moved. Okay. Now for this, double click. Okay. Now what we'll do is we will get the information about the spline first. So let's go right click, get. So spline data. Now we were using surface sampler for the other objects, but right now will be have sampler which is using spline. So I'll take the spline sampler, connect this to here and debug this. Now let's see here. So you're getting a points here and here. Alt, I'll drag this like this, and you can see the points here which is coming because the dimension it is taking on spline and mode subdivisions. If you change to distance, it will change to the distance. According to the distance it will start changing. So if you give the subdivisions according to the points subdivisions, it will generate the objects. So let's see. I'll add static mesh span map. Let me add mesh entries. I'm going to add meshes, foliages. Let me select this flower. I'm going to add that flower over here. Okay, let's see here. And now you can see according to the subdivisions this is generating. If this is distance and if you keep changing the distance, and you can see more number of objects will be generated. So Alt drag. Okay. So this is useful when you are making something like you have a fence, like this type of fence, and you want to generate fence around the landscape. So in that case, you can use this. So here you can add the again transform points. And you have this offset. can change this. Minus 120. So in that case, you can use this one. Okay, so I'll go back to the mesh. I'm going to replace with the static mesh. Instead of this, I'll be taking back the for edges. So I'll take this plant. Okay. Now what I'll do is, let me save this. So I'll reset the transform value. Okay. So this point, so I'll take it back here. And selecting this, right click, close loop I'll do. Now here it is coming, the flowers are coming, static mesh is generated on spline. Now selecting the spline, on spline is there. So I'm going to change this to on interior. I'll remove the debug, pressing D, and you can see when you increase the content, so Alt drag it, you will be able to generate the foliages within the particular area, within the spline, closed spline. So let's change this to the any of the meshes. Okay, I'm going to reduce this. Okay, and also I'll reduce the size, min start from 0.5, this also 0.5. So you keep increasing and you can see it get populated within that area. Okay, now we are at the end of the video. So here you can see you can generate the trees, foliages with the PCG. So using this, let's recreate the entire level. So let's go back to here, check with the PCG. Okay. So this is static house. So here we reach the end of the fundamentals. So using these fundamentals, we can generate the PCG foliages, and we can populate the entire level with the foliages over here. Thank you.